Three reasons to stop relying on social media for your marketing. My name is Eileen Burns. I'm soul purpose and spiritual business strategist. I'm also a healer and a therapist, and I have been a stress management expert for over 20 years. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why, if you are a holistic or spiritual business, particularly a more spiritual and more soul-aligned business, why you should stop relying on social media for all of your marketing, and particularly certain social media platforms. So one of the things that we should always remember in marketing, and when you're creating a business, it's really important to never put all of your eggs into one form of marketing. When we become reliant in one form of marketing or one source of marketing to get our clients, to get our customers, if we start having problems in that area, maybe relationship issues, or it just stops working for you. If you've always built your business just around that one form of marketing, well, it can be a bit of an impact or a shock when you're no longer getting your clients or customers, or it becomes much harder. Now, every business is different. Some businesses have huge overheads and have to do a lot more work and have to pay all their staff and things to keep the business going. And the last thing that you want to do is suddenly hit a problem where you're not getting any clients or customers, or things start to get really, really slow, and you've relied so long on one way of doing things that then you have to start learning and start to build up another way of marketing. So it's really important to always consider this, and it's one of the reasons why I always say to people, never rely on one social media platform. And even one of the biggest things is a lot of people use, so for example, if they use Facebook, they also use Instagram. But the reality is, like, these are, this kind of the same company in a way. So when you rely on the same company to do all your marketing, again, if that company starts having problems or you have disagreements, well, you have a problem. Now, so many holistic and spiritual businesses and health businesses have this problem over the last few years. They've started to realise that they, for example, relied on certain. So let's take the one of the social media platforms I've just mentioned with the letter F. And a lot of people just focus on that platform, and sometimes they just think it's because it's easy and because everybody else is doing it. So that's one of the reasons they do it, is because everybody else is doing it, and they just assume that all the clients and audiences there and it's easy. But what happens is they form bad habits and they become reliant on it, and even when it's not really working really well for them. And that is one big reason why I've said it since I've been on social media, that people should never rely on any one source, right? But one of the biggest things is many people rely on it also because they mostly get things for free. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't maximize the use of free platforms, but also at what cost? So many businesses put so much time and energy in their marketing for very, very little reward, where sometimes if they go for other types of paid advertising, they're not having to do as much work, but they'll get, they'll get more back from it, and they'll get it quicker. Now, every business is individual. I never have a cookie size fit approach to anyone's business. And, you have to look at this from your own business's perspective. But one of the increasing problems that we're having is that, for example, certain types of platforms are not just pushing censorship, but they are doing lots of things with, and this is the second statement, with the algorithms. So this is the second problem. Social media platforms use algorithms to serve your posts to the people that are most likely, and this is generally how it works, most likely to like your products and services. But other than that, the social media platforms have their own algorithms where they have, and this has been demonstrated over and over again. If we look at what's went on in Congress over the last, it's been about 4 years or more, where they've really challenged social media and how much they manipulate the algorithms for political agenda, for religious societal agendas, where their ideologies, they've got certain ideologies they really want to push and normalize and actually hijack certain people that it doesn't have the same ideology as what they're trying to push. And no matter if people like it or not, social media is any type of media is used as a form of propaganda. It's used as a way to narrate a story. And the story that they want to narrate is often has ideologies. They want you to believe something. It's just like, news and media, any type of media, I'm saying media again, but it's any type of media. The reality is they want to share a story. And, they have their own agenda, how that story is going to come across. Now, what we're starting to realise is social media is supposed to be non-biased, and it is supposed to allow everything like freedom of speech and allow, because it's supposed to be social platforms where people just go for information. And the algorithms are supposed to be that, if you are interested in that thing, you're going to get more things. Now, there's part of that, and part of that actually also causes divisiveness because, like, say, I can go on and I can only see maybe certain types of posts because that's what I'm interested, so it's going to serve me. But my friend could be interested in many different things and might have different political views or religious or ideology views, and she'll be served all sorts of other posts so she never sees. And that's a part of manipulation as well. But what we know is, and a lot of us in the holistic and spiritual sector have been victim of this, that a lot of the manipulation of algorithms are designed to censor, coerce, and control, particularly the bigger platforms, because they have, they've got more power. They have certain people that are funding, there's certain other agendas going on, and they're taking humanity. A lot of these, for example, I'm just going to share some things that a lot of these platforms are really for. They're for a lot of transhumanism. They're for a lot of things that many of us that are working at a soul level and working at spiritual, if you're a spiritual worker, a light worker, you have certain views of what you believe humanity should have, freedom of choice, sovereignty, and all that, where a lot of the people behind these have a different ideology where they think humanity, particularly as normal people, the working class, the real class is the lower class, a lot of them think that there is certain things, that ideologies that should be being brought in, and we should be, how can you say, we should be adhering to their guidelines or what they believe is right. So one of the problems that a lot of us have had is if we have shared things that they don't want shared, they've done all sorts of things. And a lot of that has been shown up in Congress, but again, they'll not allow people to see that. And we've seen the huge censorship. We've seen all sorts of things put as disinformation when it's not disinformation. I'll give you one example. So I have a Facebook page called The World of Health. Now, that was actually the first name in my business when it first started about 24 years ago. And so as I was building up my stress management business, I sold holistic health products. I had a Scottish Health Directory, and I had like a lot of kind of information newsletter, so it was online. And I've always still kept that domain name, even though I'll be honest, I don't do much with it. And I you know, I've got some blogs, older blogs and things on it, but I kept that and I kept the Facebook page, and I always share like particularly medical research papers that are more for things that are not pharmaceutically led. That's all I'm going to say. It was not necessarily anything that would be, how could you say, and during of course, I did share on some of my personal page some things that would be classed as at that time maybe controversial. But on this page, it was mostly medical, actual, real medical research papers on lots of holistic things and approaches, and even some of it's like psychotherapy and things that are not where pharmaceutical interventions are not involved. And really interesting, they started really pushing from 2019, the end of 2019, really started pushing this Reuters thing that I was sharing disinformation when these were real medical clinical research papers. And this is the kind of thing that's going on. I was then told that my page reach would be lowered and that I wouldn't be getting served to, you know, any other audience. And this is control. This is censorship. It is worse. And, you know, thankfully, many of the masses are waking up. But one of the things that still surprised me is how many in the holistic wellness and spiritual industry who class themselves as awake don't seem to even know what's actually really going on in the world. They don't seem to see this manipulation or censorship. And they tend to really buy into the propaganda of what they're being told on the TV, and they don't do their homework. And this is a problem. Many people are the same. Now, I do think, I mean, I just look at my own family and my friends and, you know, extended family, and I do see a massive amount of people waking up. But the reality is there's games being played, and the manipulation of the algorithms means that you've got that going on where certain people that are helping people with certain challenges are having it difficult. And because they have certain agendas they want, I mean, they'd prefer a lot of people to go down certain medical interventions that a lot of us in our industry are trying to help people avoid. And it's all down to what the people behind this and what their agenda is. So you've got to understand that. But also from a business perspective, the reality is it also has to manipulate the algorithms in another way. Now, I'm just going to give you, for example, the online industry. When I started, I had an online component when I started my business nearly 24 years ago. And there was not many people doing online the way that I was doing it. And particularly in my industry, I'll be honest, most people, you know, just weren't. It was not normal. And I was doing a lot of things that everybody wasn't doing. Now it's became that almost like everyone, their granny seems to be wanting to be creating an online business. And the pandemic increased that. And one of the things you're seeing is explosion in people, you know, trying to be coaches. I mean, unfortunately, we see this with fast track. These really cheap and cheerful courses are fast track courses, and people think they can be a coach in 10 or 20 hours, right? Or a 50 or 60-hour course, which is really basic, and they suddenly think they're experts. And everybody's trying to make a living. They're sick and tired of working from someone else. They're sick and tired of the rat race, and they're looking for an escape. And a lot of them are coming into holistic and spiritual well-being. And a lot of people do actually think this just is an easy way to make money. So what you've got is a lot of people trying to sell. And the social media platforms cannot be oversaturated with posts that are all just selling, because then it turns their audience off. And now they depend on making their money from advertising. There is other things that goes on, but basically, if you think about it, it's a business, right? It's a platform. It's a big platform that has a lot of staff and a lot of tech things. That means that needs to go. So the reality is they still need people to advertise. They're going to give the priority to the people that actually pay for their advertising. And that's rightly so, because there's a lot of entitlement. A lot of people think as soon as they have problems with social media, this is terrible, I'm getting banned, or I'm getting this. And yeah, I agree on some level, but we've also got to understand at one level, lots of the things that we're not going to reach, it's free advertising. So there's a lot of sense of entitlement, but also I do think a lot of this has been set up is to make people reliant on this type of thing, where they're all relying on things and moving towards a virtual life rather than really doing other things. And that's a whole other thing. But when you can understand that they have to manipulate the algorithms so that the posts are being served, that mostly they're going to put posts that they're getting paid, or when we look at the political ideology, all the things that was going on, where their sponsors and the people that have shares in their companies, how they want it to go. That's reality. And once we understand that, we start to understand why you should do other things. But business should always go, and as I said before, should always be looking at other options for marketing. There is lots of ways you can do marketing, right? Now, this is why it's important to look at alternative marketing, right? Now, I'm talking about 3 reasons now. The third reason is because there is other forms of alternative marketing. People are just so used to relying on one form of marketing, and sometimes when people maybe are not that tech savvy or don't feel that comfortable about marketing, they just stick up Facebook posts and just do what everybody else is doing and don't really invest the time and energy really learning how to use these things properly. So people want an easy life, but the reality is, if you are a spiritual business owner, a more heart and soul-line business owner, right? Of course, it's important to try and reach where your audience is hanging out. But the reality is, many people are starting to move away from these platforms, right? And people are getting sick and tired of some of the things that go on. They're feeling it. They maybe don't understand fully what's going on, but they feel it and sense it, and they're seeing things they're not happy with. But one of the other things is that there is different alternative forms of marketing, but there's also other forms of social media that are maybe not mainstream at the moment, but if enough people support them, they can become mainstream. And I do believe this is why it's really important to start supporting other forms of alternative marketing and other social media platforms that have a different agenda. Now, a lot of people, I think there's a lot of devices now about who in the social media platform, that owns social media platforms, who's this, who's that, right? But there's a lot of smaller companies as well who are starting up, and in their terms and conditions, they promise that you have free censorship, and no matter what their ideology is, they promote. Now, you have to choose what feels right for you, but don't let someone else control you, because a lot of light workers at the moment, they have such strong opinions about things. There is a lot of real divisiveness. Now, even if you think I'm being divisive, you have to do what you feel is right for you. But what I'm trying to do is let you open the box and look at different options. Now, other forms of alternative marketing is marketing in directories, is doing things to get your SEO up. Now, I use blogging for a lot. Now, yeah, I use some forms of social media to get that blogging out. And one of them is actually Pinterest. And of course, Pinterest is a mainstream, it's a top social media platform in one way, but it's also very underutilized. So you don't have the mass saturation in some industries than what you do. And it's one of the reasons that I use it. And I've not really had any censorship issues. I would say I tried at one point out of curiosity to try and do some advertising. There were some words I wasn't allowed to use, and there were certain things like that. But I still have been able to share a lot of things, and I'm maximizing the fact that it is underutilized by my industry. And there's still people that are my ideal audience that are using that platform. Right. So that's one example. But there is lots of marketplaces, and as I said, directories, wellness directories, and things like that, that often don't actually get the backup and support of holistic and wellness, because people don't always understand how much time and money goes into these platforms. And if we can support some of these platforms, even in a tiny way, would all help support the smaller business, but also support alternate and holistic marketing and marketplaces that are trying to support us as the business owner. And I think this is where we have to change how we look at marketing and business. One of the things that I know, coming from a family business background, my father was all about relationship building. Right now, my dad worked and provided products to like farmers and to like companies that done like he provided car washes, he provided all sorts of things, and some of his customers were kind of the farmer down the road to British Airways to the military defence. It was, so there was very extreme. But one of the things that he built his business on was strong relationships, being honest, integrous, and having a good relationship and building a relationship with his clients and customers, right? And he believed that that was really, really important. And what we see a lot today is because of the online thing, and because to make things easier. I know I do a lot of things automated, and it suits me and my circumstances to do with a lot of my health challenges and disabilities I've had. At times, it's helped me remain in business where normally in my circumstances I wouldn't be still in business. But there's also an element of us being able to recognize when we've become over-reliant in platforms and technology that is not for humanity, that is not for personal freedom or sovereignty. When we are buying into and feeding the beast, feeding a beast that is actually part of the problem at the moment, that is part of the conditioning, that is part of the programming, we have to be smart, and we have to start finding other ways for us to be strong, but not to be reliant, and actually be able to move ourselves away from these platforms. Now, I've not quite come up with the whole solution yet. I'm not saying I have the whole solution yet, because I have been, for the last few years, dipping in and out and trying all different types of alternate social media platforms, marketplaces and things, right? Now, I have, and the problem I do have, I don't have just one side to my business, because I sell mostly self-study programs and digital products. Even though some of that's changing now, I have almost kind of maybe spread myself too thin in that way to try and get as big. My statistics, I've not been able to really have really accurate statistics on this yet, right? But one of the things I can always say is that I've always never relied on like social media. I've never completely relied on any one source of marketing. But one of the things that I did focus on was, because it's a multifaceted approach. It's not really one form of marketing. Is through my blog, and even though you might think that's one form of marketing, I have been using my blogging plus my site and plus other things to get traffic to those sources and building my SEO up, right? So that's been getting, and also using videos. And at one point I had a podcast. Now I'm going to be bringing out a new podcast. But, using video, using blogs, using link building, directories, networking, lead magnets, emails, email marketing, all these kind of things are different ways. Now, I don't do as much networking as a lot of people do, right? And that's also just been to do with circumstances and, time and looking at my time. But this year I plan to do a lot more networking and connection. And just because my business became online, I'm trying to get as healthy as possible so that I can, eventually go back out, because I believe a lot of holistic and spiritual businesses have become very reliant on just creating an online business. And I would encourage most of you at some capacity to try and create something, or that you can build a connection also with your local community, right? Because no matter if people like it or not, the world is changing dramatically and people are waking up dramatically. And there's going to be a lot of chaos and insane things. If people think that's insane the last 4 years, well, we're going to see this hype up as more and more things start to get revealed. Now, with chaos comes a lot of anxiety and stress. And if people are not grounded and centered and strong in their own sovereignty, they're going to struggle. So it's really important that you start to become more sovereign. And part of being more sovereign and more strong within yourself is getting more aligned with everything in your business that is going to feel authentic and aligned with your core values. And the more that we can move away and start supporting these organizations and these other people that are saying no more, and they're trying to create platforms, they can only create and grow with our support. And that doesn't mean that, some of us might not be able to say, well, you can't really financially afford to support them at the time, but what I'll do is I will share what they're doing. Or I can't buy from them every week, or I can't do this. It's like, for example, I buy from an organic food supplier, right? And for lots of reasons, I can't buy from them all the time. It's not practical. And I need other shopping, and because it just to do with the kind of seizures I have and other things that I've got, I can't pop out to the shop and just get what I need. So I'm on my own and it's not practical. And sometimes I buy things and then it's coming in, I'm only on my own, and there's too much of this and there's too much of that and there's not enough of this. So I try and buy what I can. I support them when I can. I tell other people about them and I do what I can. We all are in different circumstances, but we all can do a small amount to support other places. But also, even if you realise at the moment you think, no, I need to be focusing a lot of my marketing on this platform just now. Well, I would say to you, okay, what have you allocated 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month to trying to start building some connection on other platforms or other directories? It's not going to do you any harm. And if you look at it as just an extra hour out with your time, and take it and you can use it to experiment. Now, it's even more helpful for people that have websites or blogs, because it's also a form of link building if you can share your website or blog. It's another way to build your SEO if you do it the right way. So look at alternative ways to market. Consider the fact that we're propping up. So a lot of us, even if we're not spending a lot of advertising on these social media platforms, right? Many people are buying from these online platforms and forget about it. How many adverts have you seen on social media? And then you've went, oh my goodness, look at that mop. Oh, look at that makeup. Oh, look at what she has. It might not be just from the holistic and spiritual community, it might be something else. So I want you to consider this and think about how much we're propping up. We're propping up organizations that have a certain agenda, and why we could be helping moving the masses and building a business in a more soul aligned way. And if this is something you need some help with, check out my offerings. I have a lot of self-study courses. I do also work one-to-one with clients, at certain periods. So check out lots of free resources, paid resources, and I also have a fabulous membership with all sorts of stuff that can help you grow and market your business in a more spiritual way. Bye-bye for now. Have a wonderful day, week. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share if you find this valuable. Bye-bye.